Hello everyone, this is Daniel and welcome back to another video about my artistic journey. As always, it's not easy and this week was filled with its fair share of struggle. But here we are again and I'd love to talk you through everything that has changed since last week, so sit back and enjoy. I hope that you still remember what I showed you last week in this first video that I created about this project. Basically, this whole thing that I'm doing here is about creating a world, coming up with an environment, coming up with characters, and designing everything by myself. Designing things in general is something that has been my weakness for a very long time. As you may know, my focus has mostly been on developing my skills as a 3D modeler. So I would usually take a concept and I'm very confident about my skills in converting good art into a clean 3D model. And that's what I also do professionally these days. But I do want to, grow as an artist and make a step forward. And so here I am in this project. So this week I did some additional work in this direction. It's not a whole lot, but I wanted to explore a little bit how the airships could look like in this world that I'm creating. You might remember I talked about how I wanted to go for sort of this steampunk style, and so I included lots of elements in this design where you have these huge glass domes with these metal reinforcements. So I have some of these elements spotted through this design, but furthermore I also didn't want it to be too geometric. I wanted to have the entire ship almost be like an ornament by itself. So I experimented with lots of shapes and just tried to go for something aesthetic and balanced, and this is what I came up with. You can also see I took some inspiration from large cruise ships, especially here in the back. There are some elements that are inspired by those city-like ships that actually exist in reality, and all in all it was a pretty fun project to work with. Here's a quick look at the 3D model itself. It's still all pretty rough, but it gets the point across. Last but not least, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that went through my mind a lot this week. Basically, looking for sources of creativity and inspiration. I started to actually read some books, and for a very long time I kind of rejected reading books actually, because it felt like a very inefficient thing for me personally, because I had to focus on my studies as a 3D artist, learn new techniques. So I read lots of technical books maybe, but no fiction, nothing like that. But this time, now that I'm trying to get better at coming up with creative ideas and developing worlds and sort of the background and the concept within a piece of art, books have become a lot more relevant for me, and so now I'm finally starting to read fiction books again, and well, on the one hand I'm enjoying it very much. It's actually a lot of fun, especially when I find something that is close to the kind of style that I'm looking for. But also it has given me lots of inspiration and showed me that actually writing and storytelling itself is something that I'm lacking. And I find it interesting if you think about it. As an artist, you create a beautiful picture mostly. And within the picture, you first need a concept. So you usually call it concept art, where it's mostly about creating a visual concept for your task at hand. But still, the visual art itself still has two aspects to it, I feel. On the one hand, you design a concept of the visual features, because this ship, you can describe it in a certain way, like it has a certain amount of decks, it has a dome, but it doesn't need to look this way, right? It could have many different styles. This is something that is best described and best created through a visual. So that's the visual part of the concept. But the concept art has also a sort of a content. It's hard to explain, but the thing itself, sort of the story part, the text part, is also within it, in my opinion. So you could say that this ship is an elegant ship, and you can tell about the story of what kind of people live inside, and what the ship can do, what it is for, and these sort of things. Of course, that is also part of the visual concept of the concept art, but if you think about it, that part by itself, if you isolate it, could also be conveyed in text. So in my situation, I feel that I have learned a lot throughout the last years about creating visuals and creating interesting shapes. I'm of course still learning, nothing is perfect, but I think I have a lot more experience in that side. But what I haven't done at all throughout my years is thinking about the concept that's, more the story within the art. And so this leads me to sort of my main thought of this week, where I reminded myself that I really need to start to think more about stories, about just the ideas within. So I've been trying to write down some ideas that I have, and obviously I've been struggling a lot with that. This is definitely going to be something I'll push for, to practice generally writing stories, and eventually I hope that getting better at writing these ideas down, I hope that will help me eventually transfer these ideas to better concept art, and transfer those pieces of concept art to, well, a game or a 3D model or a render or any other final piece of art. So in the end, all these things are connected, and it's always very daunting to find out that I've kind of overlooked a very big pillar of art and what I need to know. So that more or less concludes what I have sort of prepared for this week. I will continue to work on my airship theme project. I have no idea at the moment what I'll do next. Definitely I will be working on some story ideas, but I also do want to work on some visual elements just to, keep the momentum going. But that's something for next time. I hope you enjoyed this video once again. Of course, I would love to hear from you in the comments if you have any ideas for this world, or comments about my thoughts about storytelling and writing. I'd love to hear about them, so leave them in the comments. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, because that's where I share all these screenshots first. So that will be all for today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.